Hello, my name is Timothy Marshall, and this is my assignment 3 presentation of characteristics of learners. We were first asked to select a learner or student population for this particular assignment. And I have selected pre-K through 3rd grade Montessori method schools. This is perceived as an alternative mode to what is known as normal instruction. An alternative mode is one that is not presently used extensively in the public education spectrum. It began in the early 1900s as a preschool instruction, and it evolved into methods up to and including adolescence. I've selected this based upon my personal experience with the methodology. Though I've been an executive administrator in public schools and in colleges and universities, my experience with Montessori has been through family members. First, my daughter back in the 1990s, my oldest daughter, attended Montessori school from pre-K to the 3rd grade. This was suggested after she was tested in a pre-kindergarten assessment test, and the teachers and the administrators at the public school suggested that I seek out alternative instruction. My middle daughter currently is an instructor in a Montessori school in the pre-K environment. She teaches children that are from 3 years old to 6 years old. And her daughter, my granddaughter, also attends the same Montessori school. She's in the toddler group, which is a group of children from ages 12 to 24 months. And she is just about ready to move out of that group. She'll be 2 years old next month. So the characteristics of learning for this group, or for this methodology, are defined by Rambush. But they are taken from, these characteristics can be found throughout the different Montessori schools throughout the world. Rambush, though, is the reference that I'm using. So first, it's a child-centered environment. So it's learning-centered, and it's one of those areas that we've been focusing on. And it's not teaching-centered, which means the activity is not a traditional lecture where the teacher provides knowledge to the student in a classroom environment. The children are exposed to learning materials as an individual or within small groups. So we're talking about the largest working group might be 4 to 5 children, as opposed to a public school where the classes can be up to 35 to 40 children. Another characteristics of the model is that it's responsive, prepared environment to meet developmental needs of the children. So all the resources needed for instruction within the classroom are there. So all the puzzles, the books, the painting materials, examples of rocks, trees, bushes, whatever the focus will be, there will be resources available for the students to gain access to them. There's flexibility and modification built into the environment, so students can rapidly move from one activity to another, from one group of resources to another. And there's an open physical layout where there is not the bounded classroom where there's a chalkboard in the front and the chairs all facing the teacher. The physical layout is typically set up for small groups, 4 to 5 small tables where the students can carry out their tasks without worrying about bumping into chairs or moving about a classroom layout. There's a focus on individual progress and development. Again, since the students are working in small groups or as an individual, they will self-pace their activities based upon the questions at hand, the topics at hand, and the activities that they are engaged in. They will then advance as they are ready, and this is where the teacher comes in. They can watch the students to ensure that the students are reaching certain rubrics, and then immediately they can be placed into another activity. There's no wait until the rest of the group becomes at the same level of competence. So therefore, there is a focus on the student as an individual. The universe of one allows the student to accelerate their pace or to stay back on a certain topic to gain competency. And even though they are universal one, they are continually in contact with other members, other students, other peers in small groups. And so they begin to build a sense of community as they watch each other move through certain tasks. So again, from Rambush, we're going to be talking about the strategies that the teachers and administrators can engage in to ensure this group activity, this individual activity works. So again, the hands-on learning is paramount. There is rarely a use of texts or books in the Montessori method. They typically make sure that all the tools are there for the student to place their hands directly on the learning materials. Again, spontaneous activity is allowed, so a student can move between tasks with their, even if they're not finished at one task, they can then move to another task if the teacher deems it's a good break point. But it allows for a student to have a different type of learning experience from day to day and can depend upon their own selves to move between one learning activity and another. The open layout allows the student to move about, and they are engaged and encouraged to move about throughout the learning environment. This creates an environment that can capture their interest and attention with new challenges. So even though the resources may change within the environment, the student will come to expect that new challenges will be placed before them over time. This also allows them to master basic skills, the skills of communication, the skills of hand-eye coordination, the skills of starting and working through and finishing tasks. This again, because of the hands-on activity, becomes an active learning environment. So the students, the children, they gain skills over time, and even though the tasks may be broken up, they can repeat them continuously until they become masters of the activity. And one of the major aspects that teachers and strategies use is they watch as students become teachers of other students. So as one student masters an activity, they typically will turn and help other students. And when that occurs, then the active learning strategy has been successfully completed. Self-directed activity, again, the student is master of their time within this environment, and that drives independence and competency. The student knows and can watch how other students complete and or don't complete tasks, and they can either ask for help or provide help in an open environment that doesn't keep them from gaining access to the skills that come from asking for help and then leading. Freedom within limits. This is where, even though there is freedom expressly encouraged, but the teacher has and the administrators should have strategies set aside that appropriate behaviors are followed, so that it's not a free-for-all, and that students can be, starting at the young age, can be encouraged to reflect upon and gain the community rules. This creates these environments create an intrinsic motivation to learn. So even though the teachers should focus on no grades or rewards for activity, the reward is basically mastery, and then over time, interest and curiosity within the children drives their competency. The current ability to master specific tasks drives interest. So these are again it's an alternative method of instruction. They are finding, because of the long history of Montessori now, some of these aspects are finding their way into traditional instruction. Some public school districts do experiment, well, maybe not experiment, but they do provide certain time off for their students to engage in these types of learning methods. So for anyone involved in education at the pre-K through 6th grade level, and now also beginning into the adolescent ages, and I've even seen a couple of journal articles that talk about using Montessori methods in law school. To learn more about the methods, the one good website, or probably the first website to look at, is the American Montessori Society website. And they have a wide range of resources for any administrator that's thinking about opening up a Montessori school, teachers in the schools, and families of children that are in the school. So it's a very good website, and in this case, I've highlighted the portion of their website that introduces the method. Another good web tool for teachers in the Montessori method, if a teacher is new to the method or if a teacher is new to working in a school, there's a Teachnology website that has an entire section on the Montessori method of teaching. So it helps prepare traditional teachers to move into this modality. It also helps new teachers to find out what skills and strategies are best for working within the Montessori method. From an administration standpoint, there are, because it's the application of education is different within the Montessori school, there typically is a need to have a different type of system that can support the Montessori method. There's no grades here, so there's a different type of administrative system that's needed to track student success. So one of the websites that I found that has administrative software for Montessori schools is the School Admin website, and you can see there in the left-hand corner that they specialize in alternative schools, where they specialize in day schools, boarding schools, Montessori, or international schools. So the software is a great help for the administrator for tracking students and tracking activities. From a parent perspective, many parents whose children do now have the opportunity to attend a Montessori school, they need to be probably educated just as much as the teachers on how and what the environment looks like. A parent participation website, one of the good examples I found is here in Texas in East Fort Worth Montessori Academy. They have a nice setup on their website where they talk about making sure that the toddler has support for this methodology, not only at school but at home. And so when the student comes home, they can continue the same methods and strategies that they're shown at the school. So that is my presentation for the learning strategies, and here are my references. And I look forward to seeing more and discussing more about either this method or other methods that my peers bring up. Thank you very much.